Hey y'all, it's Melinda, and welcome back to another episode of The Greenhouse. Today I'm coming to you from my back porch, and I have to tell you, it's an absolute scorcher where I live. It's one of those days where it's just heavy and thick, the kind of heat that just knocks the breath out of you the minute you walk outside. And if you dare to walk outside barefoot, you're bound to burn the bottoms of your feet. It's just miserable today. The poor dogs, Layla and Lola, they came out for about 2 minutes and were already panting at the back door wanting back in. It's one of those days where it's just so hot, it infiltrates everything. The house is cool, but not as cool as it normally can be. Even too hot to get in the pool because the sun is just beating down on you. But I've been sitting out here looking across the yard, and it made me think of a question I want to ask you. Have you ever done the hard work of cutting away or pruning out something that needed to go, but for some reason you're still feeling stuck underneath it, like you just can't quite break free? You did the hard part, but you're still not getting the growth you want or were expecting. So let's talk about it. Early this morning, Jimmy got started working on the yard before the sun really even got out too high. We have a larger lot, so he tries to get out there and get started before it gets really, really hot. And he uses a zero-turn mower, but no matter how carefully we mow, we've always got a good bit of clippings left behind. There are always certain spots that leave behind more clippings than others. So we've kind of lulled into a system where he cuts the grass in a specific pattern so that the clippings land in a nice, neat, continuous line. And that line makes it so much easier to go behind, rake it up, and clear that grass out of the way before it has an opportunity to smother the grass sitting beneath it. Now, usually, most of the time, I love going behind him to rake because honestly, raking is my kind of exercise. I'm not really the kind of person who wants to drive to the gym, stand in a room full of mirrors, and try to figure out some overwhelming piece of equipment just to work my arms and core. For me, that raking is movement with a purpose. So while I'm out there with the rake, pulling those clippings together, bending over and scooping up the piles, and then hauling them off to the burn pile, well, my arms are getting a workout, my core is engaged, and I'm doing something meaningful. It's a real workout. But the best part is I can see an instant result. I can look back at the lawn and see a clean, beautiful path where that line of grass clippings used to be. And there's something deeply satisfying about seeing the direct result of your physical effort right in front of you. But today is just too hot. So I went out there and I made it about 5 minutes and I had to surrender. I put the rake back in the garage, took my gloves off, and said it's just literally too hot to breathe. So I had to tell myself that I'd come back later this evening once the sun drops below the trees and get it knocked out then. But thinking about that line of grass reminds me of something that happened a couple of weeks ago. Jimmy had finished mowing, and I meant to get back out there and rake up those lines. But life got busy, and that day, well, it got away from me. And I kept telling myself, I'll get to the clippings later. I'll get to them tomorrow. I'll do it later. Well, that later, it just didn't come. And instead, a heavy rain rolled in and stuck around for a few days. And those thick piles of cut grass sat there, soaking wet. So really, nobody wants to rake heavy, wet, soggy grass. So I let it be. I figured the mower would get it this time. But when we cut the grass the following week, those exact spots, they were a complete mess. The mower struggled over them, passing over those areas 2 and 3 times because that dead, wet grass had matted down and almost melded back into the ground. It had created this barrier that was tough and twice as hard to cut through. And worse than that, when we finally cleared it away, the healthy grass underneath it was completely yellowed and dying. You see those clippings? The very things we had already cut away had sat there long enough to block the sunlight, choking off the oxygen and drowning out the nourishment that the lawn needed to live. I could probably solve all of this by buying a bagger attachment for the mower, but usually it's only just a couple of wheelbarrow loads. It's not the mowing that's the problem. It's what we do with what's left behind. So it really made me sit back and ask myself, where are we doing this exact same thing in our own lives? Where have you taken the difficult step of pruning something away? Maybe you finally set a boundary with a family member, said no to a project or a commitment, decided to cut out your own personal toxic habit, but then you let the lingering residue just sit there. How often do we enforce a boundary only to immediately get hit with a massive wave of internal guilt? And because that guilt feels so heavy and so uncomfortable, like that wet, soggy grass, we let it sit. We start renegotiating with ourselves. We let the guilt talk us into softening the boundary, opening that door just a crack, or letting that hard no slip back into a maybe. Before we know it, that lingering guilt smothers the very peace and freedom we were trying to create when we set the boundary in the first place. It's the same with our daily habits. We hear all the time that it takes 21 days to build a habit. But if you do something for 21 days and miss day 22, does that mean that all of your progress is dead? Absolutely not. But if you spend day 23 retelling yourself the story that you failed, carrying the shame of missing a day, that story, well, that's the clipping that smothers your momentum. It's also so much easier to pick up the rake and keep going than it is to let the past rot on top of your growth and force you to start over again from scratch. Pruning isn't just about making the cut. Pruning is only complete when you sweep away what you cut off. You have to clear away the guilt, the resentment, the doubt, the old narratives you keep rehearsing or rehashing. Otherwise, the past just sits on top of your future, blocking the light, blocking the energy, blocking the very change you're trying to embrace. So, as you go into your week, I want you to ask yourself, what cut or cuts have I made that I still need to clean up? What old story or guilt am I leaving on top of my progress? Take the time to clear it out today so your new growth can actually breathe. And listen, if this message resonated with you today and you're looking for a practical tool to help you identify those 5 core pillars of your life, nourishment, roots, seasonality, cultivation, and pruning, I have something for you. Head over to my website at maintainingmelinda.com and download the free 5 Pillars of the Bloom Guide. When you download it, you'll also be signing our weekly newsletter where we dive deeper into these metaphors every single week through a meaningful moment sent out on Tuesdays. And don't forget, if you're ready for a community of women who are doing this real, intentional work right alongside you, holding space and clearing out the clutter while growing together, I invite you to check out the Greenhouse Circle. You can find all of the details on the website, again, at maintainingalinda.com. And until next time, keep clearing the space for what's meant to grow, and I'll be right here in the greenhouse waiting for you. Have a wonderful week, y'all, and we'll talk soon.